On behalf of the Erie County Chamber of Commerce, I want to welcome you to the induction ceremony for the Gallery of Achievers. Today marks the 20th occasion that the Chamber has convened to recognize the accomplishments of some of Erie County's most extraordinary sons and daughters. This class, like the others that have preceded it, consists of some very remarkable individuals. The group includes Brian J. Bixler, Daryl L. Deering, Thomas I. Fresh, and Charles Butch Wagner. Some may wonder why these individuals are being honored. It's quite simple. They are being honored because of their hard work, their courage, and their perseverance. They are being honored because of their character, their commitment, and their example. They are being honored because they have excelled in life and in their chosen field of endeavor. They are being honored because they have made a difference. They have contributed to society, and they have left their mark in the world. And for that, they are being recognized, they are being honored, and they're being applauded. The Gallery of Achievers is one of many programs sponsored by the Erie County Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber operates under the leadership of Pamela Smith, its president, and a board of directors. Also, I want to acknowledge the contributions from others who have assisted with today's program. Douglas Crooks and Tammy Robinson from North Point Educational Service Center, who have supported this annual event from its inception. And I'd also like to thank Nick Becker and Buckeye Broadband for producing today's program so you can witness it. The Gallery of Achievers was established to recognize individuals from Erie County who have excelled in life and whose integrity, determination, courage, and effort is deserving of honor and praise. Each year, the Chamber solicits nominations from businesses, governmental agencies, service clubs, schools, and citizens. The nomination forms and supporting documentation are compiled and submitted to a board of selectors who reviews the information and determines who's met the high standards for induction into this esteemed group. Over the course of the last 19 years, only 131 individuals have been deemed worthy. Today, 4 individuals joined that group. Our first honoree is Brian J. Bixler, Perkins High School, class of 2001. If you watch kids playing an organized sport, inevitably one or more will announce that when he or she grows up, they're going to play in the major leagues with thousands of fans applauding them. It's a nice dream, but it's a fanciful aspiration. The competition to earn a spot in the big leagues is intense and demanding. Those that get there are simply the best of the best of the best. And Brian J. Bixler was one of those special individuals. He was born on October 22nd, 1982, the second son of Michael and Linda Bixler. They provided him a loving and caring home where they taught him the importance of hard work, determination, and character. As a student, Brian was bright, capable, and articulate. But he understood that having potential means nothing unless you're willing to apply it. Like others in Perkins College prep program, he put in hours of study, completed homework assignments and class projects, and passed countless quizzes and tests. Over the years, he learned valuable lessons that have guided him in life. The importance of remaining focused, the benefit of giving extra effort, the need to constantly improve yourself, and the worth of being resilient and in refusing to accept setbacks as final. Brian was involved in several of the school's extracurricular offerings. He was a member of the Latin Club, the Future Career and Community Leaders Organization, Students Against Drunk Driving, and Perkins Partners. He was a Perkins delegate to a regional conference of students convened to discuss issues of importance to high school-age kids. And he played sports, earning 6 varsity letters, 2 in basketball and 4 in baseball. Standing 6'1" and weighing 180 pounds, Brian was a coach's dream. A player who possessed size, athleticism, intelligence, drive, and selflessness. He was the kid who always put the team first, who always gave his best at every practice and in every game. You only have to look at his senior year to see evidence of this. In basketball, he was the playmaker, running the Pirates' offense, attacking the opposing team's defense, and getting the ball to teammates so they could score. At the foul line, he was money, shooting almost 90% and setting a school record, making 23 free throws in a row. His teammates respected his ability, his drive, and his efforts, electing him a team captain. Opposing coaches also respected his talent, naming him first team All-Sandusky Bay Conference, one of the 5 best players in the league. Coaches from Northwest Ohio concurred and designated him first team All-District. In baseball, Brian's hitting and fielding helped power the Pirates to a 12-2 record in league play and a conference championship. Along the way, he set a school record for most triples in a season. As in basketball, his teammates respected his talent, his drive, and his desire, and named him a team captain. And like in basketball, coaches in the Sandusky Bay Conference and in Northwest District named him to their first teams. Perkins High School's class of 2001 was a talented group, both academically and athletically. Several of the school's sports teams claimed league championships during that year. It's worth noting that out of such a talented pool of students, when the high school's yearbook staff surveyed the graduates as to who is the best male athlete in your class, their response was Brian Bixler. There was something about baseball that resonated with Brian. He liked the challenges of the game, standing one-on-one in the batter's box against an opposing pitcher, or fielding a ball that others thought was uncatchable. He liked the nuances of the game, the strategies employed by teams over 9 innings, and the understanding that in baseball, no comeback is impossible. Brian played Atom League, Little League, and all levels of summer leagues. When he wasn't practicing with his teammates or playing in a game, he was working on improving his skills with his father, his brother, friends, or on his own. Footwork, fielding, handling the ball, reading a pitch, anticipating a hit, and more. Hours and hours of practice and toil. While his peers were engaging in other activities, Brian was working on becoming the best he could be. College programs sent scouts to watch him and evaluate his performance and his potential. Several offered him scholarships, and after much thought and consideration, he accepted an offer from Eastern Michigan University, where he majored in finance. When Brian walked onto Eastern's practice field that fall to get ready for the 2002 season, he was already among a select group of the nation's amateur athletes. Of the hundreds of thousands of students who played baseball in high school, only 2% are good enough to play in a Division I college program. Brian was one of them. But his dream wasn't simply to make the team. He wanted to be a contributing member of a championship team. So he put in hours and hours of practice to improve his game, all the while carrying a full academic load that required attending class, completing papers, and passing exams. In the pursuit of the dream, Brian was required to pay a price: hard work, focus, and extra effort. And he did. And that produced big results. In 2002, the Mid-America Conference coaches voted Brian the conference's Freshman Player of the Year in baseball. More work and more success followed. His sophomore year, he was named the MAC All-Tournament team and its most valuable player. His junior year was a monster year. The point where work and preparation intersect with drive and determination. He set school records for the most hits in a season, most runs in a season, best batting average in a season, and he set conference records for the longest hitting streak and the most hits in one season. Conference coaches voted him first team All-MAC and their Player of the Year. The NCAA followed suit. Ranking third in the nation in batting average, second in hits, and third in on-base percentage, Brian was named first team All-American. A few weeks later, on June 7, 2004, during Major League Baseball's annual draft, the Pittsburgh Pirates selected Brian in the second round, the 52nd player chosen in the draft that included Justin Verlander, Jared Weaver, and Billy Butler. Brian left Eastern Michigan at the end of his junior year to pursue his dream of playing in the major leagues. He had earned 3 varsity letters and held school records for hits, runs scored, and batting average in a single season. Today, his name is still listed in the top 10 at the university for hits, RBIs, runs scored, triples, stolen bases, home runs, and batting average. Brian played for various Pittsburgh affiliates to get more seasoning and to refine his skills. He showed a lot of promise, so much so that he was chosen to represent the United States in the 2007 Baseball World Cup held in Taiwan. The competition pits teams from 18 countries in, for lack of a better term, an international World Series. In 2005, the United States lost to Cuba in the gold medal game. American officials were determined not to let that happen a second time, and sought out the best 24 American amateur players they could. Brian was among them. As in 2005, the Cuban and American teams squared off for the gold medal game. Only this time, the American team and Brian won the game and earned the gold medal. In 2007, Pirate management began shuffling Brian back and forth between Pittsburgh and their affiliate teams, depending on player injuries and team needs. Then, on April 6, 2008, at the age of 25, he made his Major League debut against the Florida Marlins. His final Major League appearance occurred on July 28, 2012, for the Houston Astros. All totaled up, he played professionally for 11 years with various Major League clubs or their affiliates. Brian lived the life and the dream that many boys think about and imagine themselves doing. He was a member of an elite, highly selective fraternity that accepts only the best of the best of the best. Less than 0.5% of all high school baseball players in the United States make it to the major league, and Brian was one of them. I don't know if he was aware of the long odds that he faced when he embarked upon his dream. He probably didn't care much because he understood that nothing is impossible to a willing heart. As his baseball career wound down, Brian completed his coursework and earned a bachelor's degree in finance. Today, he is a financial administrator for the Erie County Department of Job and Family Services. And in that capacity, he worked with coworkers and others to help children and families in need. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to announce Brian J. Bixler. Daryl L. Deering, Perkins High School, class of 1964. We live in a world where our knowledge has enabled us to better the conditions of life. However, while many have enjoyed the benefits of progress, numerous others haven't. 10% of the world's population suffers from chronic hunger, and every year, 7 million people die simply from not having enough food to eat. No doubt my words summon up images of the poor in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. But hunger is not solely a problem for those regions of the world. In the United States, more than 41 million people face the challenges of not having enough food, including 13 million children. It is a problem that Daryl Deering has sought to help solve. Daryl was born July 26, 1946, the oldest of 4 children born to Fred and Dorothy Deering. He grew up on the family farm on Ransom Road, where he learned the importance of hard work, honesty, integrity, and benevolence, values he has carried with him throughout his life. Daryl exhibited a love for learning early on. He was bright, intuitive, and talented, earning good grades and demonstrating a special aptitude for math and science. A member of the National Honor Society, he was one of the top students in his class. It's not to say that high school was a breeze. He had chapters and books to read, papers to write, assignments to complete, projects to finish, and exams to pass. He also had chores and responsibilities on the farm. He learned early on to have a focus and to manage his time. Though his academic studies and responsibilities on the farm did not afford him much free time, he was able to arrange his schedule so he could participate in 2 of the school's extracurricular programs, Future Farmers of America and Band. FFA helped him hone his leadership skills as he serves as the club's treasurer and then president. Band afforded him the opportunity to pursue his affinity for the arts and along the way become an accomplished saxophone player. After graduating from Perkins High School, Daryl attended Ohio State University's College of Agriculture. That in itself was an accomplishment. The school is regarded as one of the top ag schools in the nation. It only accepts the best and the brightest students, those capable of measuring up to the school's rigorous curriculum. During his time at Ohio State, Daryl worked tirelessly to master the course content that was presented to him. He attended classes taught by nationally recognized faculty. He learned about production, consumption, distribution, sustainability, markets, business operations, and more. After class, he was off to the ag labs where he applied chemistry and biology, advanced mathematics, and the latest research to solve problems his teachers assigned to him. And after that, it was to the library for more studies. He worked hard and gained the attention of his professors and his peers. He qualified for and was inducted into Alpha Gamma Rho, a social professional fraternity comprised of ag majors who display scholarship, initiative, integrity, and a commitment to making the world a better place. Alpha Gamma Rho wasn't the only university offering that Daryl joined during this time. As hostilities in the small Southeast Asian country of Vietnam escalated, Daryl enlisted in the university's Reserve Officer Training Corps, ROTC, and took courses in military science, decision-making, operations and tactics, command and control, and leadership. He understood with his enlistment in the program came a commitment to serve in the Army after graduation. In December 1968, Daryl received his bachelor's degree in agricultural economics with a specialty in business management. That very same day, he was presented a letter from the United States Army informing him of his commission as a second lieutenant and directing him to report to San Francisco for final schooling and then deployment to Vietnam. When Daryl joined the ROTC, he had hoped to make aviation his military occupation specialty, but his aspiration didn't come through because he didn't have the required 20/20 vision. Recognizing that he had a special gift for math and science, his superiors channeled him into the artillery and trained him to be a fire directional control officer. As such, he would bring the boom. Upon arriving in Vietnam, Daryl was shuttled to his encampment, a fire base near Da Nang, up in the north. He was a stone's throw away from the Ben Hai River, the waterway that separated North and South Vietnam, a key infiltration point for enemy soldiers. For the next 12 months, slide rule in hand, Daryl plotted target coordinates and delivered American firepower on enemy positions and attacking enemy forces. It was a demanding and it was a dangerous deployment. Upon completing his military service, Daryl returned to the United States in Columbus, Ohio, where his wife Joyce was finishing her bachelor's degree. He accepted a job from Monsanto Corporation, an agrochemical company with a far-reaching vision for increasing crop production. He was assigned to the company's sales force and given responsibility for working with farmers in western Illinois and helping them to increase their crop yields. He worked hard, putting in long hours, talking with clients, evaluating soil, giving advice, and documenting successes. On his own time, or when opportunities presented themselves, he learned from others, expanding his knowledge of strategic planning, research and development, finance, project management, marketing, and executive leadership. In 1975, Daryl returned to Erie County, taking a job with Schlesman Seed. There, he worked side by side with Schlesman family members and seasoned workers. He successfully completed every task assigned to him and learned the business from the bottom up. He moved up the ladder, from sales and marketing to finally the company president. Today, he serves as the enterprise's chairman of the board. When Daryl assumed the responsibility for the company's operations, he faced a crowded field. Ohio was dotted with competing seed companies, some large and some small. It was a highly competitive market, and as such, several companies faltered because they made bad business decisions. Others were bought up by competitors because they couldn't position themselves well enough in the market. And still others went bankrupt because their products didn't offer consumers value. But through those years, Schlussman Seed succeeded under Daryl's leadership, and his company grew and prospered. Today, it is the largest seed-producing company in the state, a $25 million enterprise that is a recognized leader in the industry and a major player in both domestic and foreign markets. It achieved its success by embracing innovation, by applying cutting-edge research and new technology to create seeds that are drought-resistant, weed-resistant, and pest-resistant, seeds that produce a better yield and ultimately more food for human consumption. Daryl's company engages in meticulous, painstaking, and precise work that leaves little room for error. Certified agronomists applying the most recent research in genetics and using the most advanced technology transfer pollen from one plant to another in a controlled environment. Then they wait a year for the hybrid seeds to develop. Then wait another year for the hybrid seeds to produce the anticipated results. Then they repeat the operation to ensure consistency. The seeds the company produces are some of the best in the world. If you visualize the amount of time, energy, and work that goes into creating just one variety of seed, keep in mind, Schlussman has created 60 varieties of seed corn alone and multiple varieties of sweet corn, soybeans, wheats, oats, and other seeds. Those seeds are sold to dealers across the United States. Travel the Midwest in the summer, probably the farm fields you see are planted with Schlussman seeds. The company also sells its seeds to dealers in Europe, South America, Asia, and Africa. The company's name and trademark is recognized and respected. Many of you have probably planted seeds in your home garden from Schlussman's, but you don't realize it. They are inside the packets labeled Burpee, Ferry Morris, Henry Field, and Gurney. You probably bought them in stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, TSC, and other establishments. Popcorn is a popular snack food that's been served at sporting events and movie theaters since the 1930s. But here's what you don't know. It's a difficult and risky crop to grow. And a lot of farmers have gone bankrupt growing popcorn. The challenge is the seed's hull. It must contain between 14 and 20% moisture for it to pop. Anything else gets you nothing. It's a niche industry, but Daryl viewed it as an opportunity and set his company's agronomists to work creating a better popcorn seed, one guaranteed to pop. They were successful. How successful? Well, because of his company's efforts, Ohio has become the third leading producer of popcorn in the United States, 75% of which come from seeds produced by Schlussman's. And Schlussman Seed is now one of only 4 popcorn seed producing companies in the world. In 2015, when the Association of International Popcorn Growers and Dealers were looking for a venue to hold their annual convention, they chose Sawmill Creek here in Erie County, a nod to Schlussman Seeds and Daryl's leadership. Over the year, Daryl has given his time, energy, and resources to Erie County and the state of Ohio. He currently sits on the boards of education for both North Point Educational Service Center and DeHovey Career Center. He also serves on the Erie County Soil and Water Conservation Board, the Ohio Seed Dealers Association Board, the Ohio Agricultural Business Association Board, and the Ohio Seed Improvement Board. He is a member of the Ohio State University Erie County Alumni Association and helped that group earn an outstanding alumni club designation. He himself has been designated an emeritus Ohio State alumni. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to identify Daryl L. Deering. Thomas I. Fresh, Sandusky High School, class of 1946. Thomas Fresh was born January 7th, 1924, and he lived a life right out of an adventure novel. Action-packed, courage beyond the norm, an epic journey, and a happy ending. Thomas was the second of 4 children born to Louis and Susan Fresh, both of whom had arrived in America only a decade or so earlier. They provided their children a caring and supportive home, one that stressed the importance of family, faith, and hard work. When Tommy was 5, the stock market crashed, sending the world into a tailspin. A decade of gloom and despair as millions of people tried to make ends meet from one day to the next. It was a desperate time that tested everyone's mettle. As Louis and Susan looked for work, Tommy attended school. By all accounts, he was bright, capable, and above all, energetic. But sitting in the classroom didn't pique his interest. He wanted to be out in the world, experience what life had to offer. Fate would intervene by way of his younger brother, George. George was 10 years old when an automobile accident left him with bruises, lacerations, a broken thigh bone, and a fractured skull. Doctors estimated that it would take months for him to recover, and the accident presented the family with a difficult choice. Louis and Susan had been lucky enough to find some work, and though they were frugal, their earnings paid just enough for life's necessities: food, heat, shelter, and clothing. Losing part of that income would mean the family would have to do without. Seeing opportunity, Tommy volunteered to quit school to stay at home and tend to George. He was 14 years old at the time. And after considerable conversations, his parents reluctantly agreed. No one exactly knows what Tommy did during that time, but as George can attest, 15 minutes after his parents left for work and his siblings headed for school, Tommy was out the door. He honed his skills on the double bass, the largest and lowest pitched instrument in the violin family, and he also learned how to box. In fact, he became quite good at it, winning the 1941 Cleveland Golden Gloves boxing title for his weight class at the age of 17. That summer, at a family gathering, an older cousin, Louis Lombardi, informed Tommy that he was going to drive cross-country to California and asked if he wanted to accompany him. Tommy leapt at the opportunity. And over the course of the next 2 weeks, covering some 2,400 miles, the two talked about their hopes, their dreams, and their aspirations. All the things young men talk about and look forward to in life. But those desires and those yearnings were put on hold after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor and the onset of World War II. Unable to enlist in the military because of his age, Tommy found employment at the Consolidated Aircraft Corporation in San Diego, California. There he helped build B-24 Liberator heavy bombers. When he turned 18, he joined the Army Air Corps. Tough, agile, and athletic, Tommy excelled at the physical training that drill instructors put him through. But where he really stood out was the scores he achieved on a battery of tests designed to measure recruits' intelligence, mechanical aptitude, reasoning skills, and the ability to function under pressure. After completing basic training in the Army, he was sent to Scott Airfield in Illinois. There he took courses in physics, engineering, electronics, avionics, and advanced mathematics. In addition, he was required to master Morse code and medical trauma training. It was a difficult and demanding 5-month program of studies, but Tommy worked hard, putting in countless hours of study, and graduated from the program. Next was gunnery school, where he learned how to load, fire, and maintain a Browning 50 caliber machine gun that were the defensive armaments of the Army Air Force's bombers. That too was demanding, but Tommy met every challenge, and upon completing his training, he was designated a combat certified crew member and promoted to staff sergeant. At his next posting, he learned that he was being assigned to a B-24 bomber, and he met the other 9 men that he would be flying with. It was a young crew. Their average age was 22. Tommy was the youngest at 19. For the next 4 months, they practiced high-altitude bombing simulations under the watchful eye of an air combat veteran. They also developed an esprit de corps that would help them face the challenges that lay ahead. With their training complete, the crew then flew to an Air Force air base in England and commenced combat operations. Tommy played an integral part in executing the plane's bombing missions. His chief duty was the plane's radio operator, operating the aircraft's 7 radio systems. When they encountered enemy fighters, Tommy took up his position as a waist gunner, fending off attacks. As the plane neared its target, the pilot would announce to the crew that he was opening the bomb bay doors. That was the cue for Tommy to go to the ordnance compartment, where, using a rope to tie himself to the plane and walking out on a narrow 6-inch beam 20,000 feet above the ground, he manually armed each bomb in the bomb bay. Once that task was complete, he hustled back to the plane's nose and worked with the bombardier and navigator to triangulate the target and unleash the plane's ordnance. Tommy also had another important duty. He was the plane's medic. The B-24 had a higher cruising speed, a longer range, and the capacity to carry more bombs than any other Allied bomber. But it wasn't perfect. Liberators were not pressurized nor heated. Oxygen masks were essential once the plane passed the 10,000-foot level. Layers of woolen clothing were also necessary, as temperatures averaged 50 degrees below zero at operational altitudes. Asphyxiation and frostbite were a concern on every flight. So were German air defenses. From the time Allied bombers passed over the English Channel until they returned, they ran a gauntlet of enemy aircraft strafing and anti-aircraft flak, each hoping to cause catastrophic damage to the plane or maim or kill crew members. The tail gunners had the worst of it. Their life expectancy was 5 missions, 3 weeks. Ball turret gunners were not far behind. Other crew members were equally in jeopardy. 20% of B-24 crews failed to reach 12 missions. Tommy's plane never once returned from a mission without damage to its wings, fuselage, or tail. When crew members sustained a wound, Tommy took care of them, stopping the bleeding, sprinkling sulfur powder on the lacerations, and applying dressings. On occasions, Tommy simply held his crewmate and comforted him as they breathed their last breath, his hands and uniforms stained with their blood. There's no atheists in foxholes, nor are there any at 22,000 feet. Before every mission, Tommy attended church and prayed for the strength and courage to do his job and to ask the Lord to help to look after him and his crewmates. Bombing missions were mentally exhausting, causing combat fatigue and physiological breakdowns among airmen. Recognizing this, the Army Air Force set a mission limit. Once air crews successfully completed 25 bombing missions, they were taken offline and returned to the United States to assist with war-borne drives or to train new crews. Tommy and his crewmates completed their 25 missions, but a replacement crew had not been certified for combat yet, so they continued flying. His 30th mission occurred on June 6, 1944, D-Day. From the vantage point of the plane's nose, he witnessed the Allied assault on the Normandy coast as his plane headed inland to destroy a railroad yard and staging area. By war's end, Tommy and his crewmates had completed 35 missions, 5 over Berlin. None were easy. During the plane's tour, he and his brothers in arms, for their efforts, received 5 air medals and 1 Distinguished Flying Cross. Tommy received an honorable discharge from the service in 1945 and returned to California. He took some time to process what he had been through. It was a lot. He moved back to Ohio and decided to earn his high school diploma. In 1946, along with his baby brother George, he graduated from Sandusky High School. That fall, Tommy attended the University of Cincinnati, where he majored in music. He refined his skills on the bass violin, performing in ensembles, but there was a problem. The college's music program focused on classical music, and Tommy was more interested in jazz, 1950 blues, and an emerging genre that would become rock and roll. After completing a couple of semesters, he withdrew from the school and began touring America with different bands. In 1953, a group invited Tommy to be their bass player. They called themselves the Goofers, and over the course of the next 20 years, they toured the globe performing for large audiences and small. They were a high-energy act, playing up-tempo swing and bebop music. The group was very talented as well. During one 4-year period, they recorded 26 songs, 24 of which were charted on Billboard magazine's Top 100. While many today may not have heard of the Goofers, they were quite well known in the 1950s and 1960s, frequently appearing on nationally broadcasted television shows such as The Jackie Gleason Show, The Perry Como Show, and The Toast of the Town, to name a few. They appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show 8 times, one less than the Beatles. For those of you who have no recollection of the Ed Sullivan Show, on Sunday nights, pretty much everyone in America watched it. Everyone in America saw Tommy perform. When the group wasn't on television, it was touring, and they were in great demand. One fan, Queen Elizabeth II, requested the group do a private performance for her and her friends at Windsor Castle. They complied with her request, as they did requests from other foreign dignitaries. The group eventually ended up in Las Vegas, performing at various hotels and casinos, and sharing the stage with headliners like Tony Bennett, Johnny Cash, Count Basie, Judy Garland, Guy Lombardo, Ella Fitzgerald, and others. Tommy was an acquaintance with Frank Sinatra, John Wayne, and Sammy Davis Jr. He received golf tips from Dean Martin and traded jokes with Jerry Lewis. Tommy retired from the entertainment industry in the early 1980s and lived out his life in Las Vegas playing golf and running several miles a day. On August 25, 2019, Tommy passed away at the age of 95. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to announce Thomas I. Fresh. Charles R. Wagner, St. Mary's High School, class of 1954. I want to live in the world, not own it. Short, concise, thought-provoking. A statement that makes one pause and reflect upon life and one's purpose in it. When I share these words with others and ask, who said them? Most had no idea. A few answered Ralph Waldo Emerson, Mark Twain, Will Rogers, Robin Williams. The author was Charles R. Wagner, Butch. Butch had a way with words. He recognized their power, their ability to lift up or to drive down. Of the millions of words that Butch set to print during his lifetime, we begin his induction speech with that sentence because it speaks to the man and his character. Butch was a sports writer, a person who chronicled events and wrote about the individuals and their accomplishments. He never once wrote about himself or his own achievements and accolades he received from people, coaches, or sports writers in the profession. That wasn't within his character. Butch was a humble, self-effacing, and hard-working soul who tried his best to make the world a little better and a little brighter. He understood that sports can transcend the action that takes place on the fields, the courts, and the courses. That sports can uplift people, bring families and friends together, and create a sense of belonging and identity within a community. For almost 7 decades, Butch's writings did just that. Butch was born on January 25, 1936, the oldest of 4 children to Donald and Dorothy Wagner. He grew up in a house on McDonough Street during a hard scramble time. The Great Depression was in its 6th year. During Butch's younger years, he learned some important lessons that served him throughout his life. The importance of having a relationship with God, that your actions are a reflection on your character, and that there is a nobility in helping others and lifting them up. Butch attended Sandusky St. Mary's, where he was taught by the Sisters of Notre Dame. They had but one standard. Each and every day, no matter how small or how large a task, give your best effort. Butch adopted that maxim. He responded by completing assignments and projects, passing quizzes and exams, and mastering all the subject matter presented to him. He developed a reputation for being capable, conscientious, and hardworking. Butch also earned high marks for his comportment, his behavior and conduct, except on one occasion. On the final day of high school, his sophomore year, he decided he would toss his books out the window at dismissal time. He waited with eager anticipation for 3 o'clock, H hour. When it arrived, he stood up and sent his books sailing out the window, being pulled to earth by gravity. But there was one problem. Unbeknownst to Butch, the clock in the classroom was 3 minutes fast. It wasn't 3 o'clock. It was 2:57. Suffice to say that the good sister supervising the students unleashed hell, and the reception he received at home from his parents wasn't much better. Butch brought the same work ethic and determination to the playing fields that he did to the classroom. He was a member of the school's football team and basketball team, earning varsity letters in both sports his junior and senior year. It was a heady time to be a member of the school's athletic program. St. Mary's had just joined the Sandusky Bay Conference and opened a new gym, the Den. The school gained quite a community following by winning conference titles, posting undefeated seasons, and knocking off much larger opponents like Bellevue and Toledo Central Catholic. Butch's athleticism and enthusiasm attracted the attention of legendary St. Mary's coach Lee Zierhoff, who took him under his wing, teaching him fundamentals and bettering his skills. The two spent hours discussing the opponents St. Mary's would be facing during the coming season, their respective strengths and weaknesses, and how best to attack them. It was time well spent as Butch enjoyed winning seasons in both football and basketball during his high school years. Because of Butch's toughness, his focus and determination, Zierhoff quit calling him Chuck, Charlie, and Charles, and began calling him Butch. That nickname has stuck with him through life. As his senior year ended, Butch faced the question that all high school graduates face. What do I do with my life? It was a topic that came up with a group of friends on Memorial Day weekend in 1954. The group was swimming in Lake Erie when one decided to dive off an embankment into the water. He didn't return to the surface. Butch was the first to notice and went in after him. He found him underwater, paddled him to shore, and stabilized him until help arrived. His friend spent the next several days in a hospital recovering from his injury, and to this day credits Butch for giving him 66 more years of life. That incident was a lesson that Butch never forgot. No one is guaranteed tomorrow. Use each day for something that you can be proud of. Butch considered going to college. He had the ability and drive to do well. But in 1954, college wasn't viewed as a career pathway. Less than 12% of high school graduates went to college. Instead, he took an office job with Brown's Boats on Shoreline Drive. The company ran a charter boat operation, docking facility, and a boat dealership. It was good work, but it wasn't rewarding for Butch. After a year, he contacted some friends at the Sandusky Register to see if they needed any reporters. An editor, wanting to see what talents Butch could bring to the paper, assigned him a story here, an article there. Piecemeal work for a year. Each article an interview proving his merit. When a position finally opened, he was hired. Butch was assigned to the news desk covering city and county events, and occasionally managers handed him a sports story. It was hard work. He put in hours and hours perfecting his craft. Proper punctuation, correct spelling and grammar, meeting deadlines, learning how to convert big, complex stories into clear, concise paragraphs that the reader could understand. Bigger assignments followed, and so did promotions. In 1965, at the age of 29, Register executives named him the newspaper's sports editor, a post he would hold for 33 years. As a paper's sports editor, Butch took on far-ranging responsibilities, calendaring sports events and assigning staff to cover them, working with reporters to assure that all schools and all sports were covered, overseeing and managing the department's budget, writing story headlines and summaries, coordinating staff photographers to cover events, helping reporters to improve their work, ensuring the department met press deadlines, and much more. Usually, when a person takes an editor's job, he or she backs off from writing and reporting events, but not Butch. He continued to write and report and cover contests. Butch focused the sports pages of the Register on local teams and athletes. True, there were stories about college and professional teams, but by far, most of the articles were about hometown sports and local kids. In doing so, he helped foster community pride and provided many young people with positive affirmations in their life. As a former coach, I witnessed the impact of Butch's articles. I saw the sparkles in kids' eyes, the smile on their face, the spring in their step, and yes, even sometimes wiping away of tears of pride upon seeing their name in print and Butch's acknowledgement of their efforts and the fact that they did a good job. Over the years, Butch tens of thousands of people's lives. Butch played another role besides championing kids. He championed schools and their sports teams. In an era before the internet and playoff system algorithms, state champions were determined by the press, votes cast by sports reporters from across the state. But how do you determine which team deserved a top ranking with limited interregional play? It depended upon game recaps, stories written by local reporters whose articles were circulated around the state. Butch was instrumental in gaining acclaim for area sports teams, which translated into state rankings and championships. Sports reporters weren't the only ones who gave deference to Butch's opinions. College coaches did too. They respected his professionalism, valued his advice, and appreciated his candor and honesty. From time to time, a coach would call Butch to share that they were thinking about offering this or that player a scholarship. But before they did, they wanted to get Butch's perspective. Sports writers and editors from across the state knew and respected Butch. Several tried to hire him away from the Register. One, the Toledo Blade, offered him more money and larger readership. There were others, but Butch turned them all down. This was home. This is where he wanted to be. In 1989, the United Press International inducted Butch into its Ohio Prep Sports Writers Hall of Fame, citing significant contributions he has made to the field of sports reporting. If you visit the Schottenstein Center in Columbus, you'll find his name inscribed on a plaque acknowledging that he was one of Ohio's best sports writers. At the time, he was only the 26th reporter to be accorded that high honor. A few years later, the Ohio High School Athletic Association presented Butch with its inaugural District Media Award in recognition of his efforts in promoting sportsmanship, ethical behavior, and integrity in high school sports. There were other awards. In 2002, he entered the Sandusky Bowling Hall of Fame. In 2003 and 2004, he was inducted into Sandusky High School's and St. Mary's High School Athletic Halls of Fame. In 2017, he was named a member of the Mills Creek Golf Course Hall of Fame, and a plaque in his honor was placed at hole number 2. And in 2019, the Sandusky City Commission presented him with the key to the city. All these plaudits embarrassed him. As he remarked on each occasion, I was simply trying my best to do my best. Butch retired from the Register after undergoing open heart surgery in 1998, but he still stayed active with the paper, interviewing, sourcing, and writing, and covering high school sports as well as golf and bowling matches. Feeling unwell on July 26, 2020, Butch delayed going to the hospital until he could finish his last sports story, a recap of the annual Mills Creek Golf Course City Championship. It was printed in the paper the next day. Butch passed away on August 20th, 2020. In tribute to his life and the contributions he made to the community, Matt Westerholt, the executive editor for Ogden Newspapers in Ohio, wrote this of Butch. Butch loved his job, he loved his community, he loved his family, and he never, ever stopped being a great man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce Charles Butch Wagner. So there you have it, our 4 honorees, the class of 2020. I think you'll agree our honorees are a diverse group. Though separated by years and career choices, they have much in common. Each had a willing heart. Each embraced life with courage, integrity, and character. Each made an unswerving commitment to following their dreams. Each took hold of life's opportunities and succeeded in their endeavors. And each made a difference. Our honorees have left their mark in our world, and we are better off because of them. So on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and all of you out there, I say to them, congratulations and thank you. Thank you for your efforts, and thank you for your gifts to us. We close our ceremony now, but today's ending is a new beginning. The Chamber is currently seeking nominations for the Gallery Achievers Class of 2021. If you know a deserving individual, please take the time to secure a nomination form and submit it to the Chamber's office. Thank you and good day.